What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Eddie Hearn, Tyson Fury, and Oleksandr Usyk. Get this, via Michael Benson, Eddie Hearn on Tyson Fury versus Oleksandr Usyk. Quote, "It's actually not a very good fight to watch. I think they're going to negate each other with a lot of movement. Fury doesn't want to fight Usyk, but he may have to because the money might be so big. I'd favor Usyk." At the Zone Boxing show. And let me counterpunch. I sent some low-key hating, honestly. Now an actual expert on boxing, Roy Jones, did say something similar, so it's not too far off that type of thinking process on how that fight would be. I remember a lot of times when you get with people that are very gifted and very, very talented, okay, and the ring IQ is very big, it's not too much room for error. So a lot of people, if they have their defense and their guard up, nothing really happens. It's almost like two jaded people going into a relationship, or trying to date each other. It won't really go well and nothing will really happen if both of these guys have their guard up, but looking at the styles, outside looking in, of course, I think that will be a very good fight because we're not looking at an Oleksandr Lara versus a Floyd Mayweather. We're not. And even if we did see a fight like that, who's to say it would be anything less than spectacular? And when you say spectacular, do you mean a lot of action? Because let's face it, I think Eddie Hearn is saying it's not a good fight to watch, meaning it won't be much action in the fight. Okay? And I think that's where you have to understand what you're really watching. Okay? If you're watching two geniuses, you don't see them making a lot of stupid plays. It's like watching a chess match, But with these guys, I think it's going to be a lot different because Oleksandr Usyk fights for God, fights for country. He fights for, the freedom of his people, and he's mad aggressive and in any fight. Okay, and speaking on Oleksandr Usyk for a minute, how many boring fights have you seen Usyk in? I mean, let's just be real. I mean, you've seen some fights where, yeah, you don't really get knockdowns, but you're definitely seeing punches thrown, punches landed, effective aggressiveness. You see a lot of those things, slipping, moving, defense, the combination of offense. You see these with Usyk, and you see him do what? Yeah, you see him move, but you also see him aggressing and moving forward. So you can't say that that's not that guy's style, and you can't say you've seen him in fights that you're like, oh, this is boring. It might not be the best thing to see, but you definitely see him doing all the things that I mentioned. All the things that Oleksandr does, I've talked about. Now, you look at Tyson Fury, and probably one of the most boring fights he's had, besides the tune-ups against Safari or Pianetta, was the Klitschko fight. So his third, so 3 fights back-to-back, which Klitschko was his best win, but it was one of the shittiest performances you could actually positively look, But then again, if you understand boxing, you understand that Tyson Fury took a lot of weapons away from Dr. Steelhammer. Dr. Steelhammer is known to do a lot of things. He's also known for the jab and grab, and he's also boring. Okay, so we have to bring that to the forefront because when we're talking about this guy is boring and these guys are boring. Well, Klitschko was boring. Klitschko was a guy that had a style that I could not stand. That's why heavyweight boxing kind of took the lower shelf to welterweights and middleweights back in that time, simply because it was no excitement in the heavyweight division anymore. Then the Klitschko, or really not even the Klitschkos, because Vitali was pretty, that fight he had with Lennox Lewis was awesome. It was amazing. It had its excitement. It had everything in it except for knockdowns, right? But Vlad grabbed that torch and moved forward, and his walk was boring. Let's just be real. I mean, he knocked out a lot of people, though. Like Povetkin, Pulev, those guys, he knocked a lot of people out. But then most of his style, though, wasn't something that you were just dying to see. Okay, so when Tyson Fury came on the scene and he fought him and beat him pretty much at his own game, that's what he did. But that wasn't even supposed to be exciting. He's supposed to fight and win the damn fight. And that's exactly what Tyson Fury did. He went in there to win. Okay, so understand, Usyk is nothing like Vladimir. So to think that fight will be boring simply because we got two guys with high ring IQs is ludicrous. Okay, and again, I think it's Eddie Hearn hating. I think Eddie Hearn was low-key hating. I think he said that because his fighter was beaten. He did see something that he's never saw, and I think, honestly, though, if we look on both ends of the spectrum with Eddie, he's probably more saying that fight wouldn't look good to watch because of Tyson Fury, not really because of Oleksandr Usyk. So I don't want it to be or to come off like Eddie's that jaded because Oleksandr Usyk won. No, he gave Usyk full credit. He thought Usyk won, and he said that was unbelievable. Things I seen in the 10th round from the smaller guy that's supposed to fade and supposed to not do the things that he was doing in that round. He said it was unbelievable. So I'm not saying that he just has a hate card for Oleksandr Usyk. There is motive, but not saying he has a hate card for Usyk. What I'm saying is that he may be trying to take a jab at Tyson Fury because Tyson Fury is known, in very high top fights, not to show up and to, take the easy route, and for example, the Vladimir Klitschko fight. But nonetheless, don't worry, people. My counterpunch to that is Oleksandr Usyk that fights nothing like his Ukrainian counterparts. He fights nothing like the Klitschkos. He's a fast, come forward fighter. If I would compare him to anybody, I would compare him to a more technical, slightly less aggressive Manny Pacquiao. Okay? Because he takes, the feints are amazing. They will give you fits. And his whole thing is to outwill you, outwork you, outthink you, right? And outlast you. All at the same damn time, outbeating you. Right? So I think that's Usyk's game plan, and I think fighting someone like Usyk that won't stop moving forward unless you hurt him, I think fighting Tyson Fury is going to have to fight Usyk because Usyk's not going to give Tyson Fury a choice. And I don't think Oleksandr Usyk honestly has a choice in that matter because Tyson Fury's not going to do anything but pick you apart, being the taller, longer guy. Okay, with the longer reach, and he's fast himself, so he's in there jabbing and jabbing. So his objective, like, keep this bastard back so I can win off points. And then if I get him hurt, I'm going in for the kill because that's the mentality of Tyson, I believe. But nonetheless, Usyk's not going to stay back there and allow him to do that. So for that reason, I don't believe Eddie Hearn. I don't believe what Eddie Hearn says in this regard about the fights not being a good fight to watch. I think it's undeniable that fight, if it happens, will be a spectacular fight because Oleksandr Usyk will make Tyson Fury work. He's going to make him work just like a lower, slower, diminished, less intelligent ring IQ-wise Otto Wallin did. Okay? Simple. Easy peasy. He made Tyson Fury work. I know he had those cuts to worry about, but I think that made it more dramatic. But he still made Tyson Fury work. And I don't believe if those cuts weren't there, Otto Wallin would have stopped doing what he was doing. And nonetheless, Tyson Fury couldn't stop Otto Wallin. He couldn't knock down Otto Wallin. He hurt him at some form of the fight. But, Wallin just kept coming. And I see the same or similar or higher value and toughness in Usyk as I seen in Otto Wallin. Bars. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Eddie Hearn stating that fight between Tyson Fury and Oleksandr Usyk won't be a good fight to watch. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.